Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Chakwadash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us His truth. A sincere shalom to the hopeful elect that's out there listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom. All right, Akim. So today I want to share a few clips. You know, this is fair use for educational purposes only. All right. The title of this video is going to be called, Ladies and Gentlemen, the Master Race. All right. So we'll just go ahead and get it started.
This Texas attorney and father is being charged with the SA of his dog after his wife caught him and turned him in. And he has now hired a very expensive attorney and bonded out of jail for $750. His name is Stephen.
Boom, right there. You see, woman caught her white husband raping a pet dog, man. And what did it take? Just a little bit of his money to go get a lawyer, and boom, he's good to go, right? And that's what they do with a lot of this stuff, man. Okay, let's get that scripture real quick. In the Psalm 73rd chapter, and starting at verse 3, it says, "For I was envious at the foolish," right? Because that's what these Edomites are. They're foolish. "When I saw the prosperity of the wicked," right? Malachi 1 and 4, the wicked being the Edomites, the so-called white race. It says, "For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men," right? Those plagues, you know, those bad times, those, you know, like Jake is under the curses, you know, all these grievous things that fall on our people, us, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. We got to go through all type of hell. You know, we got to walk on eggshells around Esau. You know, you drive a little too fast, you're going to get pulled over, possibly gunned down. You know, our people are more falsely accused than any other people. You know, there's a statistic. It says a so-called black man is 7 times more likely to be falsely accused. All right, that's why our people get exonerated at a much higher rate. But how many more do not get exonerated? You see? But as a so-called white man in this society, all you need is a little bit of money. All right? And even if you don't got money, all right, the judges will side in your favor. You see? Nevertheless, let's go back.
Tyler Swain, and he has a law firm in Houston where he practices civil law. In November of last year, he was having renovations done on his home, and so his wife installed security cameras. It's been alleged that his wife believed he was bringing adult workers into the home for himself, and that when she reviewed the surveillance footage, she found videos of him and their small dog, Shipley. The exact timeline isn't super clear, but what we do know is his wife filed for divorce in December of 2025. And then a month ago, the SPCA reached out to the police telling them that they had been told by his wife that there were these disturbing videos. So that prompted the investigation into him, where his wife told police that is 100% my husband and 100% our dog.
Them Shedamites, they just as freaky, man. You see, them Shedamites, they ain't innocent. All right, there's another one I want to show y'all. Bear with me one moment. 6 arrested in alleged Greenville child sex ring employed by police and fire department. You see? Hey, these are the people that you're supposed to look up to in this society. These are the people that are supposed to enforce the law. You see? You know? But it shouldn't surprise Akim, because you still got the Epstein class free. You know? The highest people in power, your presidents, you know, all the way up to the elite international bankers up there. You know, all the way down to your government officials, your governors, your judges, right? all the way down to your police departments, fire departments, right? That's why you got all these wicked people out here, man, because why? This is Psalms 12 and 8. The wicked...
Greenville County, multiple suspects are facing a long...
Psalms 12 and 8. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. The vilest men. Okay? They grape children, animals. Alright? And let's get this in Job real quick and then I'll play the video. Alright? This is Job 30. And we're going to start at verse 1, man. It says, but now they that are younger than I, right? The Edomites, spiritually they're immature. They're adult children. Okay? It says, but now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Right? You wouldn't want them around your dogs, man. These Edomites. Because they grape dogs. You know? Just like they do with the children. These are the vilest men. That's why they're everywhere, man. That's why these Edomites are out here doing whatever the fuck they want. Getting away with shit. You know? And what do? They just keep getting more and more power and money. And you know, they get off scot-free for doing shit like this, man. You know, all they need is a lawyer who's going to look for loopholes and boom, you're good. All right. But with that said, we'll get back to the video. We're going to play it from the start here.
Greenville County, multiple suspects are facing a long list of charges, all tied to an alleged child sex ring.
Fox Carolina got a tip about this last night, and our investigative team has been working to learn more.
So let's get right to Chief Investigative Anchor Justin Doherty to break down what we know at this moment.
Okay, and Rachel, right away, we do want to warn you some of these details you're about to hear are disturbing. 6 people in total are charged, and some of them worked as first responders in our community. Greenville County deputies say the crimes happened in the late 90s and early 2000s. 4 men are all facing multiple charges of criminal sexual conduct with a minor, accused of sexually abusing young children. Their names, you see them here on your screen: Matthew Fay, Alan Foltz, Edward Storer, and Waylon Rogers. Fay worked at the Greenville City Fire Department. Foltz previously worked for Malden Police. Rogers worked for Greenville Police. Deputies say the crimes happened more than 20 years ago, and the suspects conspired to get...
Greenville County, multiple suspects are facing...
Can't make this shit up, man. Can't make this shit up, man. Can't make this shit up, man. These are the usual suspects. All right? And that's the term there they say against us. You know? And I want to use that against them today. You know? Through the spirit. Because it's like they're out here slandering us, making us look bad on the news. But see, they have to overrepresent Jake to make Jake look bad. They have to falsely accuse Jake. They have to arrest Jake more on paper so that statistic can be used. Oh, blacks account for more arrests. But those arrests didn't necessarily lead to convictions. They could have just been profiling him. Oh, well, that guy's walking while black. We're going to arrest him. Next thing you know, he gets out because nothing happened. But that arrest goes down on paper and becomes part of that bullshit statistic that they keep bringing out. All right, let's go to Psalm 64. This is Psalm 64. All right. We'll just start at verse 1. Hear my voice, O power, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy, Esau. Right. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Right? That's the meetings, them secret meetings, the round table meetings with the elite international bankers of the Edomites. You know, giving orders, making orders and giving orders down, you know, to their minions. You know, to do what? To fuck Jake up, right? Verse 3, it says, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. Okay, they casting spells on Jake, right, through their witchcraft. They, you know, calling us niggers, spics, wetbacks, all that stuff. Those bitter words, right? And also, what other bitter words? They're putting false propaganda out there on the news to make Jake look like a criminal, like we're the worst people on the planet Earth, like we're the worst race. You know, it says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly, do they shoot at him and fear not? You see, they fear not, because the Lord gave them this rulership, and they feel like, you know, they're never gonna be able to get taken down, man. That's that pride. Okay. It says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune and lay in snares privily. They say, who shall see them? Right? They laying all these traps out there for Jake to get, you know, to become part of that statistic. You know, you could think of rap music, you know, pushing that on the youth. Fucking, you know, how they were putting crack pipes in vending machines a while ago. You know, but not to get too off topic, man. All right. That's really just going into how, you know, they put out all this false propaganda on us. But guess what? You don't need false propaganda to prove that the Edomites are the biggest freaks of all, man. Okay, graping children, graping dogs. Okay, they're the master race, so-called, right? They're the ones in power right now, and even in power, they can't hide the fact that they're disgusting, man. All right, let's get some statistics out here, man. We're gonna hold this for now. All right, bestiality charges by race. AI overview. Bestiality is an extremely rare and underreported crime, meaning there's no widespread or centralized government database for these charges by race. However, findings from the U.S. analysis of 456 bestiality-related arrests spanning a 40-year period show the following racial breakdown for documented offenders. Edomites, 84.9%, the overwhelming majority, man. You know, what's the excuse? Right? All of us have dogs, okay? But you're the ones doing all that nasty shit, man. That's why Job couldn't trust Edomites around his dogs, man. All right? That's why that's in the scripture. You can identify who these people are by their behavior today, man. There's no excuse to be graping dogs, man. They got all the power in this society. They can get any women they want with all that power and money, but they choose to grape dogs and have sex with each other. Men with men, women with women. But back to this bestiality shit, you know. There you go, man. 84.9%. What race is charged most with PDF files, man? Okay, in the U.S., arrest and conviction data shows that white individuals are charged with and convicted of child abuse and PDF offenses more than any other race, both in raw numbers and frequently as percentage of the general population. Oh, per capita this, per capita that. Well, there goes your per capita, man. Okay, raw numbers and by percentage, man. Okay, so their own statistics prove it, man. We don't have to go any further than that. Okay, so let's go into Job, and we're gonna break some of this down, man. Starting at verse 1 again. It says, but now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yet whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. Right, so they were out there in the woods, out there in the wilderness, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meats. Right, they're digging up like these different roots and shit. You know, very, very base, very low level. Okay. It says, they were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth and in the rocks. And this is very interesting because you can look up a sport. It's called spelunking. Okay. Let's see if I can pull it up here. And I just put in spelunking by race. It says spelunking or caving as a recreational hobby is an overwhelmingly white-dominated outdoor activity. The history and ongoing lack of yada 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 which they're going to say, oh, it's because so-called white people have money. But that's not an excuse, man. It's in their blood. It's in their veins. That's part of who they are. Okay, they lived in these caves for a very long time, man. That's why you got these Edomites doing these sports, getting stuck in caves and dying terrible deaths. Okay, only an Edomite would do that. You got free will, you got all this money, and your choice is to go into a hole in the ground and explore some rocks. You could literally be doing anything else. But this is how they enjoy their rulership. Crawling through caves, graping dogs. Okay? This is none other than the Edomites. Okay? Verse 7. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. And now am I their song, yea, and I am their byword. Right, we are their byword. Oh, nigger, spick, wetback, beaner, goddamn Mexican, whatever they want to call us. Okay? We are their byword. Somehow, some way, these base cave monkeys came into power, and now they rule the world. And now we are the ones who are looked at like we're stupid, like we're the bottom of the barrel. Okay? Because the Lord is the one who rules in the kingdom of men. The Lord puts in rulership of this earth whoever he chooses. And right now is the time for the so-called white man to be in rulership. All right? The Lord is using them to punish us for our iniquity against the Heavenly Father. Okay? But ultimately, prophecy tells us that this rulership's coming to an end. Okay? Let's get that basest of men real quick, man. Daniel's 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Right, so this kingdom of men is the rulership of the earth. All right, the Lord gives it to whosoever he wants, and setteth up over it the basest of men. Who rules the earth right now? The so-called white man, right? The basest of men, the wicked. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, man. These are the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? He covered the faces of the judges. All right, you so-called Negroes, the tribe of Judah. Okay, those were the pictures you see in the Russian catacombs, for example. If you look that up, Russian catacombs, where you see the black Israelites, man, because that's the original actual Jews, man. The actual Israelites are this color. But how did they cover the faces? Okay? Because if you look them up right now, what comes up is so-called white people, right? During the Renaissance period, they whitewashed all these things, man. Okay, so if these are not the wicked, then who else could it possibly be? That's what Job 9:24 is telling you. Okay, let's go back to Job 9:24. Right? He covered the faces of the judges because we're going to be the rulers of the world to come. Okay? He covered our faces. If not, where and who is he? Right? Who else could be the wicked that the Bible speaks of? Who else but the Edomites? Malachi 4:1. Or not 4:1, 1:4. Whereas Edom saith, right? Esau is Edom. We are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places, right? When was the so-called white man impoverished? During the Dark Ages. That's when Jake was ruling. Okay, it says, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. Right? The Edomites are going to rebuild through what? Through the Renaissance, right? Whitewashing everything, then coming back into power. Okay, it says, they will build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, right? That's why the so-called white man, Edom, is the wicked according to the Bible. He's the border of wickedness. And the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation or righteous anger forever. Right? The Lord hates these Edomites, man. They were the race that was created to be destroyed ultimately, man. Because if you read Obadiah chapter 1, it goes into that. Let's get Obadiah starting in verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. Right? The whole world hates you so-called white people, man. You know, but you're in power right now. Okay, look at how these other nations are tired of America's shit. Okay, they're tired of Esau, man. You know? It says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, right? Here's that pride, man. They think they're better than everybody, but really they're the lowest of all the heathens, man. It says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, right? Them cave-dwelling, spelunking, dog-graping, PDF file Edomites, man. It's all over the scripture. So who else could the Edomites be, man? All right? Let's read it again. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground, right? That's why you see this pride. You know, you got Donald Trump talk about America's the strongest nation, can't go down, and Iran is what? Economically whooping America's ass with this war. Okay, but that pride continues until they get taken out of power, man. Verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, right? What's on the back of the dollar bill, man? We're going to pull it up, man, because why not? For edification, man. Y'all know there's the, or not the back of the dollar bill. Yeah, con. Yep, right there. Zoom into that. Because you got the pyramid on the left, right? And then you got the eagle on the right. You see? You know? The eagle is America's mascot, right? And not just America, but all these European countries have eagles on their flag. The American bald eagle is indeed the country's prominent mascot and national bird. Okay? The eagle is the mascot of European countries, let's say. Let's see what it says. Because you see a lot of these European flags. Yeah, look at this. The eagle is a prominent mascot and heraldic symbol across several European nations. Its widespread use originated with the Roman Empire's legions. Yeah. Alright, nothing here really in these pictures, but y'all get the point, man. You know? Back to Obadiah 1 and 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, right? That's why you got Esau talking about the moon landing. They got all their satellites up there in space, right? They want to travel to stars. It says, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. And the Lord has begun to bring this devil down, man. From the time this truth started getting preached, right? This is the end of America, man. America being the headquarters of the beast system, which is NATO and the EU. All right? It says, if thieves come to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers come to see thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Right? The hidden things, all these statistics showing you that they are doing all these disgusting things, man. Bestiality, PDFs, all your major government leaders are PDFs, man. Your elite bankers that rule the world, okay? And a myriad of other wicked things that are out there, being exposed on the internet, okay? That's why, you even got Edomites exposing other Edomites, man. That's Psalms 64, man. And verse 8, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Yeah, nobody wants anything to do with you so-called white people, man. Okay, because you being exposed, man. The Lord is exposing you for all the evil that you have done. Okay? But yeah, Akim, that's pretty much it. I want to finish by giving all glory, honor, praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem HaKodash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us this truth. A sincere shalom to the hopeful like this out there, listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom wa. Abba Babal. Shalom.